Welcome into your daily reading. I am going to look at what spiritual lesson are you facing right now. I'm going to do that by looking at the archetype, these archetype cards to see what archetype you're experiencing that spiritual lesson through. This reading is being done on March 31st. 2022. However, whenever you see this reading, it is for you, so we can consider this a timeless reading. Archetypes, if you're not familiar with, represent things like our heroes, the villains, a damsel in distress, and so we have particular kinds of karmic or spiritual lessons that we can embody, right? Grow through in the archetype. So we could get a light message or a shadow message depending on what we're working through. So this message coming out here for you today is called slave, the archetype of slave. So the light attribute is learning how to surrender your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. So as opposed to being in the shadow attribute, a slave would be someone who's turning their willpower over to an external authority out of fear. It's surrendering to the divine. So that is your spiritual lesson for today. I'm going to go ahead and get some additional information on this card, on this message of slave for you today. I'm going to clarify with some tarot. There'll be an extended reading available where I will go deeper into what comes up in this initial reading, as well as if there are additional messages for specific signs that show up during the first part of the reading. And then I will look at some additional oracle advice for you. So, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get started. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so you will be notified when there's new content posted. And if you like the content posted on this channel, please do give the thumbs up, a like, comments as well, how this reading applied to you and additional content that you would like to see on the channel. So, for slave, here, you're asked the question, do you have a history, right? Do you have a history of becoming a slave to the system, or is slavery part of your genetic history? So it's very interesting. What you're working on today is surrendering to a higher power, to the divine, or a trusted spiritual teacher to become truly free, right? Breaking the chains. You've broken those chains, right? But I think it's interesting to think about how our histories matter, of turning our power over to other entities to help us get through. So if you have a history of slavery, or your people come out of a situation that where, you know, there's been a lot of struggle, certainly being able to surrender to a higher power to get you through. I think a lot of people could say, like, I have no idea how I made it through what I made it through, or your ancestors could say that if it wasn't for divine intervention. So this card is really a reminder, right? This message, this archetype that you're embodying today is a message to surrender, and not with trust. Trust that the divine's got you. And sometimes we can do that struggle, right? Like really struggle in life, and surrender to the circumstances of our life and become overwhelmed and drown, right? Like drown in despair, drown in our financial woes, drown in the fear of the world, right? And this message is saying, surrender, be a slave to the divine. Surrender your power of choice, right? Choose to be in alignment with love. And know that when you make that decision, everything's going to be okay. Even if you can't imagine, it's like I often think of it as taking my hands off the steering wheel. Like I constantly hear my angels and guides going like, yeah, can you take your hands off the steering wheel? Because we're really trying to drive this car. And I keep putting my hands on it. and crashing into a wall. Crashing into a wall, right? And it's like, oh, if I would just let go, I would actually avoid the obstacles of my life. But because I think I want to be in control, I keep bumping into those obstacles and hitting those walls and not figuring out why things aren't working. So the lesson, surrender and trust. And again, if you have this history in your family, in your own life story, of being a slave, right? Or enslaved, I should say, or having worked through some very difficult challenges in your family story, in your ancestral line, in your own life path. I'm sure you've seen evidence of miracles. Absolutely. So this is a message from Spirit saying, we're here. Let us take over. Let us take control of that steering wheel. Alrighty, so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna pull some tarot to clarify the archetypal message here today. Gonna get 5 cards, ask 5 questions. The first is, what is your biggest challenge with this lesson? Letting go, trust, right? But we'll see what comes up. What skills are you gonna need to overcome that? What's going on in external forces, people, the environment that's affecting you in this lesson? What do you need to understand? What don't you understand about the situation? What's not clear to you? What's not obvious? And then what's the first step you need to take? All right. All right. Like I said, there will be an extended where if I get additional, if I get messages for additional signs, I'll read a little deeper if something comes up for additional signs, and then continue on with some oracle advice and to go a little bit deeper in those next steps that come through in this reading. All right, so balance jumps out. This is like the justice card in this deck. Biggest challenge is staying in balance, and that balance is not allowing, right? So I talked about this like sense of drowning. So these people are, right? Like you can see, oh my goodness, who's on here? Oh, it's a hummingbird, right? Hummingbird energy and a ballerina, you know, who's balancing and balancing. Like there's a balancing of a ball, a ballerina balancing on what looks like a boat, a ship, something like that. And then on this side is a hummingbird balancing on their beak, right? Balancing on a diamond, which is clarity of thought, intuitive sense, right? Over this water, like not becoming overwhelmed or drowning in the situation or circumstances of life. And that balance is between spirit and you, right? Like staying in balance between your desires and spirit. And it's a co-creation, right? Like, so I don't know if any of you've heard, like we co-create with spirit. And so I think of this, I've been thinking about this recently as like going to a restaurant. And so you put in an order, right? Like someone comes up and takes your order, and then they go and you sit at the table and you wait for the order to show up. You don't go back in the kitchen and say, oh yeah, by the way, did you get my order? Here, wait, let me help you make the order. I just want to make sure that everything's going okay. And it's like, no, we put our order in and we wait. And sometimes the order comes out really quickly and we're like, wow, I totally didn't expect that. And other times it takes a while. But we never question whether the order's coming, right? Is the food coming? I put the order in, the food will come. So manifesting is like that, right? Manifesting in our own lives is like putting the order in and then trusting that co-creation with the divine. So surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. So part of this too is not going back in the kitchen and saying like, okay, let's say I order, I don't know, lasagna. I know where I got that. I got order lasagna. And at home, I make lasagna this way, right? Like I put a little bit of noodles. I add a little, I like zucchini for whatever reason in my lasagna and some carrots. And I make a veggie lasagna. And I ordered the lasagna how they make at the restaurant, right? Whatever's on the menu, I make it. And then I want to go in the kitchen and tell them how they're going to make it. No. Mm-mm. I just ordered lasagna. And then how lasagna comes, when a lasagna comes, in the order that lasagna comes, I accept it because I just want lasagna. And sometimes I'm like pleasantly surprised, right? And the universe is like that. You put our order in, and then we let the universe do what it needs to do. And sometimes, right, this is the power of choice. So it's simply like, I want lasagna, and then letting lasagna come. Not the way I might cook it at home, because then I could just be at home and eat. So, but this is what Spirit's asking you to do, is surrender. Surrender and trust. Remember, this is a co-creation, a balance between Spirit and you. You're not alone. This life is a balance between the divine and the earthly world. It's when we think we're alone, we hold that steering wheel and crash the car right into the wall. So the next question is, what skills are going to help overcome, right? What skills are going to help overcome this lesson, art, right? This is the Temperance card in this deck, which is certainly that card of patience. The order's been placed. The angels heard it. Trust it's coming. So patience is one of those things that you're going to need, right? And then also imagine. Art is created. It's a co-creation between your soul, right? The divine, your soul, and the earthly plane. And so have patience for those things to can manifest themselves, right? And to remember again that this is a co-creation. How will your environment or the external forces, how are they going to impact your lesson here? What's going on in the environment? Creativity, Three of Crystals. So this is like Three of Swords in a traditional deck, which is usually like having a lot of pain and experiencing pain. But here, like the crystals or the suffering and pain has been transformed into art, right? Like how can you use your experiences in life to create? So the environment is impacting you because there are things that have come at you, right? That are making you feel not so fabulous, right? There have been things that you've experienced in your life that have made you feel out of balance. But Spirit is really saying to take those things and transform them, right? To change their energy into something beautiful, to become very creative. So you're going to be sharing literally your art. So this was also about patience. This was what's going to help you overcome this is also to focus on, what are your creations? What are your creations for life? And then how do you take what's going on in the environment and add yourself into it, right? Add your own creativity, add your own experience. All right. So the next question, what is it that we don't understand about the situation? What don't we understand about this situation? This lesson here, what's not clear about the lesson to you? Harmony. Eight of Wands. You're still not getting that this is a co-creation between you and Spirit. So, you're not listening. You're not listening to the divine. You don't fully trust it. You don't totally believe in it. You are getting messages from your angels. They're talking to you. They're talking to you. They're with you. They're trying to help you stay in balance. They want you to create something, to remember your purpose, right? And out of everything that you've experienced in your life, All that struggle and animosity that your ancestors have come through, they want you to create something beautiful to share with others. Right. And they want you to do this together, right? Like this is harmony is like making music. This is one way in which people can create song, whatever your art is, whatever your inspiration is. This is what the skill spirit wants you to develop your art. So what is it? What's your art? All right. So you need to think about that one. And then what is the first step that you need to take? What's the first step you need to take in order to surrender here to your archetype of the slave? Surfer or Man of Cups. This is Knight of Cups. Really embrace your emotions. Get in touch with your feelings. Surfer, right? Ride the highs and lows. Surf life. That's the first step. Get out there and take those risks and know that you're protected, right? And trust, surrender your power of choice to the divine, like your ancestors. They went out there and took risks to end up where you are. You've taken risks in your own life and done the impossible at least once and seen miracles come about. And so that's your first step. It's time to surf. Surf the wave, ride the wave, go smell the flowers. Just remember, right? In order to stay in balance, when you're riding those waves, you have to stay, you have to do that as a co-creation. You can't do it on your own. If you do it on your own, you're going to crash, right? And you know this. Miracles can happen. Amazing things can manifest when you trust in the divine and in spirit. All right, some oracle advice. I'm going to be using the Power Thought cards by Louise Hay. And what message, Spirit, do you have for our viewers on how they embody this archetype of slave? Or really, it's like surrender, right? I mean, it's slave here on the card, but it's surrendering your power of choice to the divine, surrendering to the divine. And let's see what Power Thought card we can have as we close this reading out. I am deeply fulfilled by all that I do. Okay. So, there's a message. Each moment of the day is special to me. I follow my higher instincts and listen to my heart. I am at peace with my world and affairs. Okay? So this really goes along with your art. Spirit is asking you to get in touch with your creativity, right? The creativity that you can share with the world. And you do this, in doing so, this is a co-creation. So this will provide you with the fulfillment that you need to feel connected, right? That's a lesson. I'm going to leave you with a couple of affirmations, and if you want to continue on with me, there'll be an extended where I'll go deeper on this message and talk more about what next steps you can take. All right. Today, I am receptive. I will let go of the past. I will live in the present. I am looking towards a bright future. We're going to pick up from this place in the extended. And today I am free of drama. I will let go of the people that do not support me and only surround myself with positive people. Okay, it looks like there's a little bit of positivity needed. And Spirit is saying, I've got you. So that's number one. So be open to new things coming up. Let go of the past. This is a new day. Definitely this being free of drama, and letting go of the past messages. So I'm going to continue on. This definitely looks like there's a message here. Spirit wants to co-create, like literally, some issues or some issues, something that Spirit wants to create, some type of art, some kind of art wants to be created through you. And Spirit wants to use you for that, right? Wants to do that alongside you, and just need you to surrender, right? Become a slave to the divine, and then miracles, right? You'll see those miracles manifest. I just want to say there are additional messages in the extended. I will look for additional messages because we have Sagittarius here with the temperance or art, and then Libra. So if you are a Sagittarius or a Libra, I'll have additional messages for you in the extended, but then I'll just continue on for everyone in the reading. Okay, so I will see you in the extended. Otherwise, have a good day.